Okay, 3.1 continued. Graphing in vertex form. So for graphing in vertex form, the first thing you want to do is identify the vertex. And you can identify the vertex because you remember you have your H and your K. And remember that our X is a liar. So it looks like it's a positive one, but it's actually a negative one, and K is at 2. So your vertex would be at -1, +2. So here's my vertex. All right. Next, we're going to state the axis of symmetry. Our axis of symmetry is at X equals -1. So this is our imaginary line that we use as our point of reflection. Okay. Then we're going to find the X and Y-intercepts. So to find the X and Y-intercepts, it runs a little different. To find your X, remember that's when Y equals 0. To find your Y, that's when X equals 0. Okay. So when I make this to find my X-intercepts, if I make this equal to 0, so we have 0 equals -2 times X plus 1 squared plus 2. I'm going to subtract 2, and that leaves me with -2 X plus 1 squared. I divide by -2, and that leaves me with 1 equals X plus 1. And what would X have to be? 0. Did someone say 0? Okay. X equals 0. So that means that it crosses at X equals 0. And then, oh, I didn't do my -1, sorry. When you take the square root of something, it's going to produce a negative and a positive. I don't know why that's so tiny, but it's going to roll with it. So if I want -1, what would X have to be? -2. X would have to equal -2. So we cross at 0 and -2, which makes sense. And how do I know I'm right? Because are they symmetrical from one another? They are. Yay. And then you're going to decide, is it a positive or a negative? Well, based on connection, this has to be a negative, and based on my A, it is a negative. Okay. And then you connect the points and sketchy sketch. And there you go. Oh, it was so good in the beginning. It was so good in the beginning, so strong. And then something went wrong. It went downhill. You know I'm overstressing. Just rude. All right. So that's from vertex form. Vertex form is fairly easy to plot. Now we're going to go to standard form. So this is in standard form. And we're going to, if there's nothing there, that means that's 0. Now on this one, you use a vertex formula to find the vertex. So you need to find the vertex here in standard form. To find the vertex, remember it is the X of the vertex equals -b divided by 2a. So in this case, this is my A, this is my B. So I have -2 divided by 1/2. How do you divide a fraction? Huh? An idiot.
She gonna get put to sleep. It was that girl with the hair.
Anyways, I digress. Now, back to what we were doing here. How do you divide a fraction?
Multiply it.
You multiply by the what? Reciprocal. So instead of dividing by 1/2, we're multiplying by 2. So what is 2 times 2? 4. So my vertex is at 4. I just got to find its Y value. So now we got to find H of 4. So we're going to plug that in. So I have H of 4, 1/2 times 4 squared minus 2 times 4. What is 1/2 of 16? What's 8 minus 8? 0. So my vertex is at 4, 0. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my axis of symmetry, therefore, is at x equals 4. Okay, your y-intercept is the easiest part. So your y-intercept in this form comes from the whatever your c value. So when you're in standard form, whatever c is, that's your y-intercept. And since there's no c there, what is our y-intercept? 0. So we're gonna go to 0. That's not right. We did some math wrong. Where did I do my math wrong at? All right, sorry guys, found our error. Oh, no, stop. Oh. I was like, this is not going how it's supposed to be going. Some ain't right. Me too, but my pen erases. So, boom, you never saw any fours. I'm sure. Yeah, doesn't matter. Just skip over that. All right, let's try this again. So we are at 2. That's where our axis of symmetry is. Oh, there's a 2 left. 4 left. We're at 2, and we substituted in 2 squared is 4. 4, half of 4 is 2. 4 minus 2 minus 4 is -2. So our axis of symmetry is 2 when we're at -2 on the axis of symmetry. That's better. Our y-intercept is at 0. And because it's at 0, we can actually use our axis of symmetry to find our other x-intercept. So how far am I from the axis of symmetry? 1, 2, 1, 2. And close enough. Ooh, that took some journey. And then we could double check ourselves. It's facing upward. Yes, our A was positive. Yeah. If it wasn't on as easy as this, then you would have to factor. But it was easy. So, all right, that's graphing. Next, word problems. A rancher is fencing a rectangular area for cattle using the straight portion of a river as one side of the rectangle as shown in the figure. If the rancher has 1,800 feet of fence, find the dimensions of the rectangle that give the maximum area for the cattle. All right, so he has 2 sides of width, right? And 1 side of length, because the river is not going to be fenced in, because logically you would, the cows, right? Cows shouldn't go in the river. They'll just, so why put a fence there, right? So we know that the perimeter equals 2W plus 1L equals 1,800. Are we in agreement with that? Anyone's like, how did you get these numbers and where did that come from? Okay, so with that in mind, he wants to know what are the possible area. Well, how do you find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. Okay, and if I want to know my possible maximum area, that means that there has to be some form of a maximum to look at, which means that basically I'm looking for the vertex of our quadratic in this one. Okay, so in order to solve for area, I'm going to have to substitute in for either L or W. And at this point, looking at perimeter, the fastest thing to substitute is L. And that's because I can easily get L by itself. What would I need to do to get L by itself? Subtract the 2W, that's a W, Sean. So area equals the length, not length. We're going to substitute that in, and instead of length, it's now 1,800 minus 2W. times the width. So I'm going to turn this and distribute. You get a W, you get a W, we all get a W. So we have 1800 W minus 2W squared. Now, if I'm looking for the vertex of this, the vertex X equals what? Negative B divided by 2A. So here's our B, here's our A. How do I know which is which? Exactly, your A is always with your square. So I'm going to plug those values in. And that gives us 1800, negative 1800, divided by 2 times negative 2, which equals what's 1800 divided by 4? Almost 450. There we go. I was like, come on, guys. So 450 feet. So that's the highest. So our W, the width has to be 450 feet. So if the width is 450, then what is the length? So width equals 450. How would I find the length? You see how we have length equals 1800 minus 2W? That we would have to subtract, right? We're subtracting from the perimeter. So it would be 1800 minus 2 times 450, which is what? So 1800 minus 900 is 900. So your dimensions would have to be 450 by 900. As you navigate through this, your word problems are going to slowly make you use all of the math knowledge you have. So as you look here, this is a little bit of geometry, a little bit of algebra 1, and then a little bit of algebra 2 with the algebraic reasoning. So it's going to start all coming together. I know you're so excited. We have find a quadratic expression in vertex form that models the data, support your results by graphing F and the data together. What is the domain of the function? Okay. So normally I would go through the process of teaching you regression, quadratic regression by hand. However, for the sake of time and that we've had a couple of hiccups along the way, we're just going to only do it by calculator. And I hope you're okay with that. Anyone feels like they're being cheated by not doing it by hand?
No.
You feel cheated? No. Okay. If so, I will gladly show you during office hours, but for the sake of time, and I can also send out a video of how to do it by hand. We're going to go over the steps of doing it by calculator. So if you have your TI-83 with you today, you can follow along. If not, then make sure you pay attention so that you can follow the same steps.
Okay.
So step 1. Step 1, you want to make sure that your calculator is cleared. And that, remember, that's second plus 712. So you see how mine says RAM cleared? Okay. Step 2, you're going to press where it says stat. Do you see the stat button? Right underneath delete. And then you're going to press edit and input your values. Stat, then edit and input. I don't know what that was. I thought I was tripping. I was like, I'm already having a bad day. I'm not going to focus on what that is. So I'm going to put in my values. I have 0, 2. You're going to input the values. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I said input values. 0, and then I started inputting the values. My bad. Must be super explicit. I knew better. All right. Or just hit enter. You want to do my hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
When was your office hours?
Friday.
Is this class like a good break from the other class?
It's the same thing.
It's not like,
Huh?
I don't know, I feel like this is better.
Oh. I mean, your class just didn't shut up.
We don't.
Ah,
Have you noticed that I think it's this very good lately? No,
so
we've been very good.
I don't know. Let's finish. All right, the next step is kind of weird, and I know you actually have to leave this page. And so to leave this page, you have to press second mode. Yes. So you press second mode, and you're gonna leave this page. And you have this blank page. Now, once you leave this page, I know again, it sounds weird. You're gonna go back to stat. So you're gonna go to stat. And then once you're at stat, you're gonna arrow over to calc. Stat, calc. Stat, then arrow over to calc. And you're looking for where it says quad regression. So quad reg, I guess. Reg. So you're looking for a quadratic regression. And then you'll hit enter. So you see what? It's 4 steps. I was like, it's 4 steps. And then hit enter. And then you're gonna hit enter again, and it does all the math for you.
I just feel like this is a lot. And
I
then you
lost
show
it
it by
at the
hand.
end. Once you want to do it,
I got that.
it's not the quad reg and hit enter.
Mhm.
Do you hit enter again after that? Or that's-
Quad reg, enter, enter.
I only push one enter in the top, but then I push another enter.
Oh, if yours popped up on the 83s. I had to hit enter twice. I don't know why, guys. Maybe it is. Maybe it's my pen thing.
I said, is it more complicated?
It's more adding, multiplying.
No.
Dividing. I mean, it's relaxing. And then you're going to, so it tells you your A, your B, and your C, and you're going to plug them into the standard form. Mhm. So standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. So what is my A? 2. What's my B? And what's my C? And there's my quadratic equation. That's the answer. Okay, so we know that quadratic functions go on forever from left to right, and their domain is negative infinity to positive infinity. But because this data is about time, would my domain be restricted? We have negative time.
No.
So therefore, my domain would be from 0 to, thank you. 0 to, well, on this table, 6 minutes. All right, regression. Questions about regression? Thank you. Sorry. None? All right, so those are the, I can't make it any shorter than 6 steps. But, so, all right. Yeah. All right, so that concludes 3.1.